We're starting the week with the AFC East. Nick, the floor is yours.
All right, we'll go through these 4, 3, 2, 1. There are very few things in modern America, sports or otherwise, that there is unanimity on. Yep. I don't even know if we could get, a total 100% consensus on the shape of the earth or the color of the sky.
You can't.
We can on who is going to finish last in the AFC East.
The Jets.
Well, the New England Patriots come in number 4. It doesn't need much description. They don't have a single player draftable in fantasy. They have a good quarterback, they hope, and because of that, they might not play him because they are afraid of what that would do.
Not great.
All right, now to the interesting part. Number 3. The New York Jets.
There we go.
I do not trust the coaching staff at all. I honestly do not trust the quarterback. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers, at 40 years old, off an Achilles, having not played in the offseason for reasons I don't understand, is going to be an above average, forget great, above average AFC quarterback. So the New York Jets, despite the fact that I do like the defense, especially if Hassan Reddick decides he wants to, get a key card, should be decent. I don't trust the coaching staff. I don't trust the offense at all. I don't trust the quarterback. They're number 3. At number 2, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, I expect, sadly, to be very similar to last year. I think they have just too much talent, raw talent, for the lesser teams to deal with. I think they can look absolutely unbelievable under the right setting, and that doesn't just mean good weather, but it kind of does.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly indoors.
50 and above.
Right, and I think that at times they can pop, but the losses on their offensive line, the personnel losses on defense, the big difference to me is I don't have them or the Jets making the playoffs. Wow. I think this is a one playoff team division. Wow. And that one playoff team is the Buffalo Bills, which I think that there has been an over-market correction on the Bills. The entire media was so sick of me being the only person right about them the last 4 years. They've now gone in the other direction, and now they're too far down on the Bills where people think they could finish 3rd in the division. That won't happen. They are going to have a good, not great, but a good defense, and they're going to have a good, not great, but a good offense because Josh Allen provides a good offense by himself, and Sean McDermott, for his flaws, provides a good defense almost by himself. Those two things will combine for at least 10 or 11 wins. That'll be enough to win the division. I think the Dolphins and Jets both miss. So there it is. There's the AFC East, 1 through 4.
Brew?
Well, Nick got one thing right.
The Patriots.
The Patriots will be.
I told you.
I could just do my list. Should I? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, now it's time for
yours. Yeah. We're a little rusty on predictions.
I thought I was supposed to comment on Nick's list.
Your list will be your
all right, we do
rebuttal.
agree at number 4. Now, I will say this. I will say this. I feel, after watching Drake May in the preseason, I feel better about the Patriots than I did a month ago.
Right for 5.
I will give you that.
If they wins?
Look, no. Well, yeah, they could get 5 or 6 wins.
Ooh, 6.
And if he plays well, like this season is all about developing him. And remember, I was like, if I'm Brandon Ayuk, I am not trying to go to New England. And I still kind of feel that way, but I wouldn't feel as bad about it now. Like if he went there in a trade, I know he doesn't want to. That, Drake Mays looks like he's got.
Brew, if Brandon Ayuk, if the Niners told him, listen, we are trading you today. It is the Steelers or it is the Patriots. They're offering you the same money, and you're advising him. Where are you telling him?
I'm going to be honest. I would still say Steelers.
Oh, come on, Brew. Give Wild
Here's
something.
why. Because he's going to be there long term. And I get it. I like Drake May.
Yeah.
But I think next year,
you
Dak
really
will probably stay in Dallas.
Steelers?
Because I think they'll get a quarterback.
They've been trying to.
I think they'll get a quarterback.
They haven't had a quarterback since Ben.
But I like Drake May.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
But anyway,
I'll take that as a W.
At number 3, the Miami Dolphins.
Come on.
And I got
playoffs!
Wow!
I got a 3. This is a 3 playoff division. You guys got that wrong. 1 playoff team? Are you kidding me? All right, now, and I agree
we're gonna get to Friday and
I was the architect of this take.
What?
The Dolphins can't play in cold weather.
True.
and they can only beat up tomato cans. And their schedule's kind of rough.
Tomato cans were the Cowboys.
Nah.
They were the breakdancers.
Yeah.
They were the
No, but they both could only beat tomato cans.
I know, but
they were breakdancers too, but they only beat up tomato cans.
Hey,
they
Dustin,
were 1-6 against
Brew's still on
playoff teams.
Hey,
It works for both teams.
I know, but put it in the bank, just creatively.
I can't say tomato cans about the Dolphins.
Breakdancers with the tomato cans. They come out with.
Have them in tomato can uniforms.
No.
So I got the Dolphins number 3, and Greg knows, we were talking before the show, I struggled because there was another team in the AFC I liked that I was like, but I'm going to go with the Dolphins and make the playoffs.
Okay.
All right, at number 2, the Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
And they, of course, will make the playoffs too. I hate losing Matt Milano on defense, at least for most of the year, but I agree with Nick. Sean McDermott is a great defensive coach. Even as I've thought he should have been on a hot seat in the past as a head coach, defensively, even with the injury to Milano and the guys they lost, I think he'll have that team playing good defense. And Josh by himself is worth some victories.
Correct.
They got the 2 tight ends. I think they're going to play a little more ball control and stuff. And then that means, of course, Greg Jennings got this right, that the New York Jets, Nick, their roster on paper
I'm so
is nasty. It is. I mean, you got a great defensive backfield led by Sauce Gardner. You got great linebackers. You got Quentin Williams up front and a nice defensive front. Offensively, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams is healthy or going to be healthy.
What? I don't even think he's practicing yet.
Oh, but it looks like he's going to be ready for That's the scuttlebutt.
I think this will be mostly unanimous. The New York Giants.
Yeah, Patriots.
Now listen, I actually think the Giants have done one thing smartly, which is I think they have built up that defensive line to where I think that could be a top, legitimately, I should say, a top 5 D line. Not top 5 defense, but top 5 D line, which can be a building block for the future.
Right.
But Dexter Lawrence plus Brian Burns plus they have other guys along there, I think it's like, oh, okay, you're going to have something. That's going to be your identity. The problem is everything else is a mess. Now, listen, I like Neighbors, and I like Andrew Thomas. So I think you have some real pieces to build upon, but I don't know about Brian Dable. I do know about Daniel Jones. They're going to be, I think, in contention. Sorry, Greg.
Watch him.
Greg, did you see? You saw Daniel Jones' preseason.
It's
Yeah,
preseason.
we saw it. They're going to be in contention, luckily for them, for the #1 quarterback in next year's draft, and that's how they can turn the page. This is where there's going to be gasps. At number 3 is the Philadelphia Eagles. They've lost 6 of the last 7 games. They had a bottom 4 defense across the board in the NFL last season. They lost a future Hall of Famer, the leader of their team, the best player on their offense. Their coach and their quarterback don't get along. Their coach was known for one thing, kind of being a jerk on the sidelines, and now he's been like, no, I'm going to stop that. If anyone else could have told him that was a bad idea years ago, classic 2, once again. And all of those things, they come into the season on the hot seat. They have 2 great receivers. I know that. I don't know much else about this football team other than their GM loves the acquisition of, oh, I knew who that guy is. Jahan Dotson? Oh, yeah, I remember him.
He's good.
Oh, is he?
Especially as a third receiver.
Okay. Is he?
As a third
Based
guy?
on what?
Well, Sam Howell.
Based on what? I'm just telling.
Greg
so,
likes
He's the
him.
third receiver.
Okay, that's great. I'm telling you right now that there's a reason he was available from a team within their division. A team that, by the way, I have finishing second. The Washington Commanders.
Wow.
So the argument for the Commanders is simple, which is the new coach bump from Dan Quinn and the fact that I like Jaden Daniels as a player. I don't like him long-term as a prospect because I am concerned about the injuries. I'm concerned about his body, his frame, and his ability to survive 8, 9, 10 years in this league. That's my whole argument against him, is that he's too small for a long NFL career. That doesn't mean he can't be dynamic in an individual season. They have decent weapons, and I understand defensively there are going to be some struggles. However, I think there is always a team that everyone has written off as, oh, they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league, that you see, oh my gosh, are they in the playoffs? Are they right there? Now, I don't have them in the playoffs, but I have them finishing second. And then in first place is the Dallas Cowboys, who, for all of the consternation this offseason, they got CD done. They still have clearly, by a wide margin, the best defense in that division. They still have clearly, in my opinion, the best quarterback in that division. And CeeDee Lamb gives them a good, decent receiving core in and of himself. They won 12 games every year. I think 10 games is enough to win that division. I have it as one playoff team division, Greg, and I have the Dallas Cowboys being that one team, and I have Philadelphia firing their coach during the season.
Wow.
I'd say, Nick, you're going to rue the day you put that little list together. All right, number 4, we agree. This is all we agree on. Giants at number 4. All right, I don't know that I need to even say anything. I like Malik Neighbors. That's about it. All right, at number 3, the Commanders. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to have a dynamic year. And they're growing. I think they're growing. No, I do believe it. That doesn't mean I think he's making the playoffs as a rookie, but I think I think he's got a bright future. Number 2, the Cowboys.
Oh, right? Playoffs!
I do have them making the playoffs.
Out these playoffs.
I mean, we're going to
get Cowboys. I do have them making the playoffs. And that leaves, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. 13 wins. They are going to play well.
Wait, 13 wins is what you're picking?
Yes. Jalen Hurts will be in the MVP discussion. Wow. He will not win it, but he will be in the MVP discussion.
Okay.
All right? I can't believe you are so down on the Eagles.
You mean the team that was the worst team in the league for 2 months last year? That team? The team that had one of the worst defenses in the league for 4 months last year?
Because that team was still able to make the playoffs with 2 months of horrible football. All right?
How'd the playoffs go for them?
Oh, it didn't go well. I labeled it a supernatural punch.
Yeah, you did. But that is not analysis.
It is
You just said it happened and it's gone. Yeah. With no explanation.
I'm giving you analysis. They got 2 great receivers.
They
got a third one that's good.
Dotson's not good.
Kellen Moore is going to make that offense so much better.
Why?
Dotson's the third receiver. One, last year they had no imagination in that offense.
Dotson was
no motion pre-snap. Kellen Moore will bring all this. And I'm not with or without Dotson, I was high on him. Saquon Barkley, who's been running behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league for his whole career, where everybody knew that he was getting the ball because his quarterback was really bad. Sorry, Greg. He's now going to a team where they cannot focus on him. They're going to have a very good look, I like Jason Kelsey too. Hall of Famer, all that. They're going to be great. That offensive line is still going to be very strong. Those receivers, the variety in that offense, Saquon is going to have a ball. And I think the defense, Wildes will notice, 2 words.
Vic Fangio.
Defense is going to be better. They made some good moves.
What are we even doing in the AFC West? Number 4 in the AFC West, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, no.
No quarterback. I don't know that letting the players pick your coach is a great idea. I just don't. Listen, I'm not saying Antonio Pierce isn't going to be good. It's just I would have done a little more of my due diligence there. Also, here's a sneaky thing I don't think many people realize. The Raiders have a second-place schedule because they finished second place in the AFC West last year. So they were not good enough to have that type of schedule laying out for them. And it seems like a lot of people feel like Devontae Adams is going to be traded. And oh yeah, by the way, the curse of Kermit. They're a 5-win team. Number 3, the Denver Broncos, who I don't think are going to be as terrible as other people. And I'm here to make a bonus prediction during Predictions Week. Bo Nix is my number 1 draft pick of every quarterback in the league to trick Kevin Wildes into thinking he's good.
Wow.
I think Bo Nix is going to have a very Mac Jones rookie year without the playoffs type of season where he is already at his ceiling and Wildes like, look at the numbers. What more do you want from him? And I'm in here saying he's actually not that good and you're going to love him. I believe that's going to happen. Sean Payton won 8 games last year with Russell Wilson. So I think that the Broncos, I don't love the talent, but I actually think they're a frisky adjacent team.
Wow.
Because I think Bo Nix is pro ready, but he's almost likely already at his ceiling. I think Sean Payton will get the most out of him. So I think they're not going to be terrible. Number 2, and the first wild card team I'm revealing, the Chargers. The Harbaugh bump, and they have the last place schedule. In a division with the Broncos and Raiders, they get the last place schedule. I don't know that Greg Roman's even going to care who the wide receivers are. I just think this team's going to win 10 games and make the playoffs. And so you have Jim Harbaugh, you have Justin Herbert, who, if the plantar fasciitis doesn't flare up, and you have a last place schedule, to me that's 10 wins. And then, of course, at number 1, the Chiefs. There is no obvious weakness. There really is no weakness. This is a 14-win team and a 1 seed. Show me the Chiefs, please. I hope the Chiefs are there. They're a 14-win team and the 1 seed. And since everyone knew I was going to say that, I'll give you a bonus prediction. I'll tell you the 3 losses. They lose at the Chargers early in the season, and that's like the Chargers are here moment. Then the Chiefs crush them later in the year. They lose at Buffalo because it's just the most, it's like when your big brother's beating you up and he lets you up for a moment, like, oh, I'm going to get him, and then they smash you again. So it gives them just enough hope. And they lose at home against Houston in December. It's right around Christmas. It's right after they play Cleveland. Cleveland beats people up. So those are the 3 losses for the Chiefs. Week 4 at the Chargers, Week 11 at Buffalo, Week 16 at home against Houston. They're 14-3 in the 1 seed. And Greg, there's my AFC West.
My number 4 team.
Oh, Brou. Great minds? Is this a great minds situation?
This could be a great minds situation. Number 4, the Raiders. Fun fact. Gardner Minshew last year made the
Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Did you? Anybody? I mean, we knew that.
He's not bad.
I mean,
he's not.
I mean, I know he was like the 8th alternate or whatever it was.
He's not. His numbers are actually pretty good. He's got an odd public persona, but he's sneaky good.
I'm with you.
Okay, do you think?
Sneaky
What
good.
does that mean?
Sneaky good.
Do we
He's
think
a nice backup.
Yes, he's
that
a great
can have
backup.
a good month.
Yes.
As a starter.
That is
moments.
Okay, that is
moments, yeah.
that analysis I 100%
That's
agree
what
with.
he is.
He's not one of the 25 best quarterbacks.
No.
So then he's not sneaky good. There's 32 starters. He's not one of the 25 best.
Sneaky good?
He's sneaky good.
What does sneaky
He's never
good
been able
mean?
to play an entire season.
Is he a
with
bottom
receiver like
7
Devontae
starter?
Oh, really? So
What?
you think they're going to have a great year?
No, I'm saying he's never had the
Him and
opportunity to
Devontae?
play with a receiver
If
like
he's
Devontae
sneaky
Adams for a
good
full
and he's
year.
got Devontae Adams.
Since we got the end of the week, I might change.
Go
All
ahead.
right, so at number 3,
Denver.
Yeah. I do disagree with you, though, on Bo Nix. Obviously, he's been great in the preseason. I'm not going to overreact. Guess who else was great in the preseason last year?
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, yeah. And so, but I disagree with you, Nick, on that. I'm not so sure. Yeah, I think he could be a pretty good player. Like, I think he'll play. Well, I think eventually he could be a nice, solid NFL quarterback starter. So I liked what I saw with Bo Nix. This is the only place we disagree. I got the Chargers, obviously. But I seriously, yeah. And I was torn, and Greg knows, I told him I was going back and forth between the Chargers and the Dolphins. But I went with the Dolphins, but I might regret this one. I just don't like you mentioned, the receiving core. I mean, it's completely depleted. I know they got the running game, and Herbert, he's a tough guy physically, so I think he can come back and play with the injury even if he's still hurt. But I think they need a little more explosiveness for the offense. And I do think Harbaugh is going to improve that defense, which has been bottom 10 in the league basically the last 3 years. But I got them barely missing the playoffs. And, of course, the Chiefs. 14 wins, that sounds about right. Look, you know I was high. I was high on their receiving core. Now, of course, Hollywood Brown is hurt. Hopefully he'll be back pretty soon. Xavier Worthy's got to stay healthy because when I look at the other guys, I'm just not.
Rasheed's excellent.
But is he going to be, with everything that happened off the field, is that going to be in his head? That could mess with him a little bit.
Nick just has the Cowboys, Brou. You got a little trigger happy. You're throwing everybody in the playoffs. You picked 5 playoff teams yesterday.
You did pick 5 of your 14.
It's just the order in that we picked the divisions.
I know, I'm just saying. All right, Nick, the floor is yours.
All right, number 4. I think Brou and I agree on this one, but we might not because Brou's always been a bit of a Geno skeptic. So number 4, I have the Cardinals. I'm not sure if Brou does as well. We'll find out. Just a brutal defensive roster. I think Gannon's a very good defensive coach. The personnel's not there. They're already dealing with injuries, including to some of their draft picks this year. The offensive line, Paris Johnson's awesome. The rest of the offensive line is just questions galore. There's 3 good teams in the division. I obviously love Marvin. I know Greg's higher on Kyler than me. To me, it's just, it is going to sound bad. I think they are probably the best last place team in football. Yeah. I think that they might be the best of all the last place teams, but you got to, and so in that division, someone's got to come in last. Yeah. Third, Seattle. And man, this was the hardest team for me to leave out of the playoffs. Yeah. So I won't, we'll see when the whole thing is revealed, the team that they just missed their spot out on. But last year seemed like a super down year. They won 9 games. I like Geno. I love Mike McDaniel taking over that defense with all that talent, especially on the back end. And I think he can coach up the front end because I think, you got a career year out of Clowney in Baltimore. Van Noy played great. Yeah. So I love that part of it. Obviously, I said Mike McDonald. I think I said McDaniel, but their new head coach from Baltimore, Mike McDonald. Obviously, their wide receivers are great, but the offensive line in the running game was just not enough for me to get them in the playoffs. I think there'd be around 9 wins again. Number 2, in the playoffs, the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow.
Way too many red flags for me to say they're just going to skate to 12 wins. Last year, it seemed like they were dominant start to finish. They didn't win 14 games. They won 13 games. They won 12 games. Do I think that the Ayuk still, we don't know. Trent Williams, at this point, I'm adding to the board, might miss games. Like the fact that training camp's now over. If he's just trying to skip it, it would be. So he might miss games. Christian McCaffrey dinged. Bruce guy, Ricky Pearsall. I think he's made it through 3 or 4 real practices. Greg, I'm just curious. Does a shoulder injury, that doesn't come up a lot for a wide receiver during the year. He'll just be fine from here on out? I don't know. That seems like a tough one. And in their last preseason game, 2 of their rotational defensive linemen got dinged. So all of that, and Brou gave Brock Purdy a D for the offseason. That's not great. It's going to hurt his feelings. It's going to get back to him. And the Super Bowl hangover, that to me is enough for them to go from 12 wins to 10 wins. Again, you know what I mean? It's not, I'm not saying I have them in the playoffs. I think they'll be fine, but I don't think they'll be dominant, which of course then puts the Rams at number 1. I think this should be the best offense in the NFC. I think that you're going to, Cooper Kupp is good as whenever he's healthy. I don't know how much longer he'll be healthy. Right. Puka's excellent. I love both their running backs, Kieran Williams and Blake Corum, the kid from Michigan. I think will be instantly effective. They have my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year in Jared Verse. They spent their 2nd-round pick on his teammate Fisk. Listen, I think Stafford is bonus prediction. I'm not in the dark horse MVP business. Ooh. I'm in the sleeper MVP business. Matt Stafford, sleeper MVP pick. I think the Rams are a 12-win team. I think the Rams win the division. I think the Rams have the best offense in the NFC. There's the NFC West.
Nick, I don't know if this will surprise you or not, but my 4th place team is.
Okay, I thought you were going to put Seattle.
Now, I do think Kyler will show us, he'll regain that spot as like a respectable, solid quarterback. Because I thought he played well at the end of last year. And Marvin, obviously, I think those 2 will have a nice season. I just don't, like you said, the defense, I don't think they have enough. No. I did contemplate flipping them in Seattle, but I went with the Cardinals at 4th. At 3, obviously, you got the Seahawks. And it wasn't tough for me to lead them out of the playoffs. I think they'll be respectable. I think basically what they were last year, 9-8.
But that almost made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, but I think the NFC is better, though, this year than it was last year. So I don't think they'll be that much of a playoff, fighting for the playoffs. At number 2, I've got the Rams.
In the playoffs?
Yes, in the playoffs. Now, I'm not as high on them as you are. Obviously, I'm not as high. Everybody's high on Stafford. I'm not quite as high as people are on Stafford. I do think that, obviously, with them, injuries can be an issue. But look, they went 7 of their last 8 last year. Obviously played Detroit really tough in that playoff game, lost by a point. So, you know, and Sean McVay is Sean McVay. So I got them. And then, look, obviously I've got the Niners winning the division. And I'm not worried about Purdy, but I don't like the vibes. I got to be honest. Like, Trent Williams out. Obviously, you got the situation with Ayuk.
Is that a good vibe or a bad vibe?
No, I think the vibe.
Because he was going to be a Steeler, and now he's back.
What? Well, he's back. Right. I think he'll play, though. I do think he'll play for him. But I also think, look, they've been healthy for the most part for the last few years.
Yeah.
McCaffrey's been healthy since he's been there. Could that be a problem? So, and then what you're seeing is reminiscent of like Super Bowl hangover stuff. But I still think they'll win the division. But I got some concerns about it.
NFC North 4-1 at number 4. This is the year the bottom falls out. Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think they're going to get off to an amazing start, and they have to because the back end of this schedule, if we can show it quickly, is so absolutely brutal. They could start the season 7-3. I think we can show the schedule at some point and still finish below 500 for the first time in the Tomlin era. You don't even have to look at the right-hand column. Just look week 11 on. Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
Ouch.
So, I think early on they're probably 500-ish, and then afterwards. But so I think 5-12 would be good for them. If you're yeah, I think that would be good for the franchise. Is what I'm saying.
But okay.
I think a 5-12. No. What I'm saying is Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Milroe, my guy on NCAA football, Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. Ooh, boy,
like
nice little dual threat. Great name too. So those are the guys, Steeler fans. You've been too good to be in that mix since Big Ben, and so that's the world you need to live in. Number 3. The Cleveland Browns. Deshaun still isn't healthy, and they kept 4 quarterbacks. You have Mac Jones Memorial Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley on the roster. You have DTR on the roster. You still went out and signed Jameis Winston. After this year, it's only 2 of those guaranteed years left on Deshaun's deal. Interesting. I don't think Deshaun makes it through the season as the starter, and I'm not saying because he's going to get hurt again. I think at some point they have to admit that's the worst trade and worst contract in NFL history. It is a sunk cost. You have to try to pull yourself out.
Yikes.
And Jameis is there for a reason, in my opinion. They're a 3rd-place team. Now the surprise, I imagine. Number 2, but in the playoffs, Brou, is the Ravens. I know you were worried I was going to have them missing the playoffs.
Last year you had them missing the playoffs.
I did have them missing the playoffs last year, and I was wrong. After how the playoffs went, maybe they wish they had, but still, we as analysts need to learn from the lessons of previous years. We watched the Eagles 2 years ago, and Jalen take this huge leap, and everyone's like, Shane Steichen, he's amazing. Look at this coordinator. Shane Steichen leaves, and everyone's like, well, that shouldn't matter at all. Everything will be fine. It wasn't. We watched Baltimore overachieve defensively last year. We're like, Mike McDonald, he should be a head coach. He is now. He left. I think that is a significant loss. I know Brou loves their offensive linemen that they lost because he now believes in the Jets' offensive line because they got them. So that seems to me to be a significant loss. They added Derrick Henry, but they were already a great running team. So to me, that's just enough for them to go from 13 wins down to 10. Meanwhile, the Bengals were around 500 in life for the playoffs, even though Joe Burrow was out half the year. They win the division. And I also think, lastly, Greg, this is a massive year for the Bengals because I think Mike Brown is going to Mike Brown after this. They don't sign T. Higgins because they're going to pay Jamar Chase, and now they don't pay Jamar Chase. This is a team that used to charge you for equipment and sodas in the locker room. Just because you lucked into Joe Burrow and paid him and you had to sell the naming rights to the stadium in order to do it, doesn't mean you've changed your stripes, no pun intended. And so I am worried about the Bengals' ability to compete as a championship organization after this season. This is their moment. And again, we're going to give them Super Bowl predictions. Maybe I'll surprise some people, but I think the Bengals are going to be outstanding, and the Bengals win the AFC North.
Number 4, hate to say it, my hometown, one of my hometowns, Cleveland Browns, all right?
Yeah.
And I'm all with you on Deshaun. I mean, my goodness, he brought it all on himself. It is what it is. Defensively, I love him. But the offensive line is in shambles right now just because of injuries. You know, guys are getting hurt in the preseason. They already had a couple guys hurt. And I think, though, that's going to hurt the run game. Chubb is on the pup list. Yeah. And last year, you're right, even without him, they had a great run game, but I think a lot of that was the offensive line. I think now they'll struggle a little bit with the run. I generally like them, but, you know, everybody can't make the playoffs, so I got them in 4th. I'm not as down on the Steelers as you guys. I don't have them making the playoffs, but I have them finishing 3rd. Last year, they won 10 games and made the playoffs with Kenny Pickett.
Well, but they made it because of Mason Rudolph at the end.
I get, but okay, but Mason Rudolph, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not obviously haven't been impressed with Russ and Justin.
Really?
But well, no, that he's a star. But Tomlin, why doubt him now? And again, I think the Steelers are gonna have a pretty good year. They'll still have a strong defense. Tomlin has shown he can win. Even the last years of Big Ben, when they weren't that good of a team, but they won games. And Big Ben wasn't close to his old self. So these guys, I think, are upgrades. As unimpressive as they've looked, they're upgrades over Pickett. So I think they'll be in the 3rd slot. Now we got Cincinnati making the playoffs at number 2. There's a part of me saying, you know, that wanted to go against the Bengals being in the playoffs. But that was the same part of me. I felt the same as 2 years ago when I said they wouldn't make it.
Also, another one of your hometowns.
Well, another one of my hometowns, yes, absolutely. So they are going to make the playoffs. I think you made some good points, Nick, that is there a feeling of we got to get it done now? I think they'll definitely bring back Jamar Chase, but T will probably be gone for sure. But then I got number 1, the Baltimore Ravens. And part of it is that they own the Bengals. And that was my impetus for picking them last year to get to the Super Bowl, was I thought Cincinnati could take out Kansas City and then Baltimore would take out Cincinnati. Lamar's 8-2 against the Bengals, 4-1 against Joe Burrow. So look, I love the moves they made. I know they lost, like you said, the defensive coordinator, but their culture, Nick, with or without McDonald, their culture has been defense and running the football. Regardless of the personnel, they're always in the top 10, if not the top 5 defensively. They still got Justin Madubuike. They still got Roquan Smith. They still got Kyle Hamilton. And they feel like, man, I don't know. I think obviously they respect the Chiefs. But I'm sure they feel like we gave them that game, whether that's right or wrong. We went away from who we are. We lost our identity and gave him that game. And Lamar, everything people said he can't do, he's been able to do. And
all right, number 4, I think we'll be unanimous on this, the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold is going to shock people by continuing to be Sam Darnold. I know a lot of people are like, this is the year he's Samuel Darnold. Nope, same guy he's always been. It's just going to keep happening. I thought I came up with the idea that they should consider trading for Mac Jones this morning, but evidently Wildes had it a month ago, which makes me think it's a bad one. I feel badly for Justin Jefferson, but he'll still have 1,200 yards at least because he's Justin Jefferson. This is where I slide a little bit away from Greg. The Green Bay Packers, and they missed the playoffs. Wow. So I still don't trust the defense. Don't get mad at me, Wildes. I know they played well for 3 quarters against the Chiefs. That was an argument from last year. Everyone loves Jeff Hafley. They're like, oh my God, their new D coordinator was the head coach at Boston College. And I'm like, listen, I'm not Chris the Bear Fallica, but I never think Boston College, that defense just crushes. No, they don't.
Watch the tape.
Well, I did. It's not great. And I play with them on NCAA 25 sometimes. The personnel's not terrible. And so they're going to do a lot of single high. I don't get it. The no A.J. Dillon is a big deal. That's new. Major kicker worries. They just cut the kicker that they drafted a year ago, and real expectations. Last year, this team was 6-8, and then beat Bryce Young, Jaron Hall, and Justin Fields. That's how they made the playoffs. And then, yes, they were brilliant for 6 quarters of playoffs. The whole game against the Cowboys, the first half of the divisional round. But then I just think progress is not linear in this league. Sometimes you're looking good, take a step back, and then go. I think the Packers, there's going to be a lot of people who pick them to go to the Super Bowl. I think that they have a year similar to last year, 8 or 9 wins, but this year it's not enough to make the playoffs. Okay. At number 2, the Lions. I love the roster. Again, The kicker situation worries me for a team with championship aspirations. They had a very good kicker. He tore his hamstring. Now they got a kid from the UFL. Shout out to him for making it.
Yeah.
But this guy played, I think, at Texas State and in the UFL. Now he's going to be kicking. Dan Campbell standing on the sideline, huffing and puffing, scary.
Go for two.
There's a lot of pressure on Jamo Williams, who was a great collegiate player but hasn't shown it. I like the Lions. I think they have a top 3 overall roster in the league. But I don't think they're going to be good enough to beat the Chicago Bears, who I think are going to win 11 games, win the division title. I think they are going to be one of 3 teams this year that has a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense. Caleb is going to be able to spread the ball around to Swift, who Brou used to love. I don't know if he does anymore. Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, and I think Caleb's going to run for 500 and score 5 rushing touchdowns. And I love how soft the open of their schedule is, which allows for them to get confidence and get rolling before the divisional games come. There is my NFC North.
Not bad.
We do agree on the Vikings being 4th. There's no doubt about that. Now, Sam Darnold, look, the reason they got him, they think, learn from Kyle Shanahan for a year, similar type system. Let's bring him there and see what he can do. I actually think, you know who I think they should try to trade for?
Who?
Jameis Winston.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That's a good
big Jameis Winston show.
Right. I mean, Jameis would be good there. But they're going to be 4th. I got the Bears. I'm sorry. Look, I think
no
the future,
playoffs?
No playoffs. Wow. I think the future is bright. I think they're going to be probably 9-8. But Greg's right. Look, and Caleb Williams was absolutely dynamic in the preseason. He also completed 50% of his passes. There are going to be some growing pains, and it might work out for you, Nick, in that the growing pains will go through the softer part of the schedule. So I'll give you that. But man, this schedule or this division is so tough that I see them winning 9 games but missing the playoffs. Secondly, in the second spot, I've got Green Bay. I think they're going to have a very good year. I think they're going to just build off of what they did over the second half of last year. They were the youngest team to make the playoffs in like 50 years. And you saw what they did to the Cowboys. I don't see them taking a step back after that. It gave me some pause when A.J. Dillon went down. I think Josh Jacobs and A.J. Dillon together would have been even better than Dillon and Aaron Jones. But still, you got Jacobs. They'll be able to find a backup. The receivers are just going to be that much better. They're more confident. And defensively, look, that was a young team. I think defensively, they already took some steps last year. I think they're going to take a few more steps, and they'll finish second. And obviously, I've got Detroit. Look, Detroit last year, their problem was defense. They addressed that. They really went out and addressed the defensive issues that they have. Offensively, obviously, they're stacked. I think Jameson Williams will have a nice year as the second guy to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I got Detroit winning that division and Green Bay in second, but both of them making the playoffs.
I think, maybe I'm wrong, that we will all agree on the 4th place team. In 4th place, I have the Tennessee Titans. I don't love Will Levis. I really like all the other quarterbacks in this division. I hate that they fired Vrabel. To me, they're an easy 4th place. Sorry, good folks in Nashville. Now to number 3, and this was one of my hardest postseason admissions. The Indianapolis Colts. I love the head coach. I think he made Jalen Hurts look like a superstar for the season with him. I think you were a pass away from making the playoffs with Wildes guy Gardner Minshew. Yeah. I'm very intrigued by Anthony Richardson. I love the upside and the measurables. And I think they have an excellent offensive line and defensive line. But I question their secondary. I don't love the wide receivers and their back 7 of their defense as a whole. And Anthony Richardson, he played 4 games, got hurt in 2 of them. So I can't put him in the postseason. I think the AFC South is tougher than people thought. So I have them 3rd. Bruce, surprised by that.
I thought you were having them in the playoffs.
Like I said, it's my hardest omission. At number 2,
of course,
the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Of course.
8-3. Yeah, Greg's surprised. He thought I'd have them winning it. No. I'm trying to be right, guys. I'm putting real hard-earned shekels
looking like
on
a lot
stuff.
of chalk to me.
Well, you know what? I'm able to go a little chalk in this division because I took my big swings earlier, Brou. 8-3 until Trevor's injury. Wildes' anti-guy, Doug Peterson, coaching for his job. Doug Peterson has won double-digit games in how many games in his career? Anybody? 1, the time they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is season number 2. They get to 10 wins, just avoid the rain. I was scouring the Farmer's Almanac to see what it's like in their outdoor games. Those games in England, a little tough, but that is England. And I am interested, while I'm not a big Gabe Davis guy, I do like Brian Thomas theoretically, and so we'll see what that's like. And then at number 1 is the Texans. There is just so much to like about this team. It does seem like their only weakness is going to be running the ball and stopping the run. I'm not a big Joe Mixon guy at this point in his career, and I think their pass defense and pass offense is going to be outstanding, and their coaching is going to be outstanding. I do think that when it comes to physical running teams or them wanting to be a physical running team, they could struggle a bit, but that's, you know, kind of minor around the edges. That, Greg Jennings, is my AFC South. With
Tennessee, number 4. I will give the Titans credit for, they're going to be bad, I think. They're all in.
Yes.
They really are all in. Look, they're trying to see if Will Levis is their guy. So they go out and get Tony Pollard. They go out and get Calvin Ridley. They go out and get Tyler Boyd. Like, they really had an off-season. But those are, yeah, seriously though.
Somebody's got to be a weird
Boyd is a good
team.
receiver, and Ridley's a good receiver, and Pollard's a good run. Like, they had an off season. Like, they're trying to win. I obviously don't think they will too much. But look, if they find out if Will Levis is or is not our quarterback of the future, that's good. I got the Colts at 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Richardson, like you said, my biggest thing, he couldn't finish. He had trouble finishing games last year. And Gardner Minshew, like I said, made the Pro Bowl last year for them. You got, you know, great offensive line. Jonathan Taylor. If Richardson's healthy, he can run. So that's there. But I obviously got them 3rd. Jacksonville, 2nd, but not making the playoffs. Not making the playoffs. And look, this is a huge year for the Prince. A huge year because, look, they went out and got him. I like Gabe Davis. You know that. They already had Christian Kirk, who's pretty good, right? And Brian Thomas Jr., we both like this guy I think could be really good receiver, the rookie out of LSU. And Travis Etienne's a solid running back. So he's got weapons. It's time for him to get it done. And then, of course, Houston, the only team from this division making the playoffs. I don't see what there is not to like about the Texans.
Man, you guys.
At number 4, listen, there are 2 teams in the league that I look at them and I'm like, I don't think they have a single strength.
Ouch.
The Patriots and the Panthers.
Lord, defensive team.
Well, I don't know that you are anymore. Maybe, we'll see, but the loss of Judon hurts, but regardless on the Panthers, I feel badly for Bryce. And with that said, because of the schedule and because Bryce can't be as bad as last year and because Dave Canales, undersized quarterback, get it together a little, I could see a scenario where they finish 3rd because this team, I think, is a train wreck waiting to happen. I still have them 3rd, though, the New Orleans Saints. I think everyone's gone. I think Derek Carr's gone after this year. Dennis Allen's gone after this year. They might finally do what they've long needed to do, which is shake up that front office. We might see Spencer Rattler. They're just such an old team that keeps putting everything on the credit card. They can't move on from players they want to because the dead money hit is bigger than their this year cap hit. And so that Rattler would kind of be a get out of jail free card because he's so cheap. You can deal with Derek Carr. But I think the Saints are a 5-win team, which is why I think it's possible that the Panthers could jump them. And by the way, you know what's good for the 2 other teams in the division? You can go 4-0 against these 2 teams because number 2, Big Show, back in the playoffs once again. You know what Baker does when he's healthy? Makes the playoffs, wins a playoff game, throws for 300 yards in the playoffs. That's just what the man does when he's healthy, when he's not dealing with a terrible shoulder injury that he should have had surgery on. They're going to go 4-0 against the Saints and Panthers. They also have on the schedule Washington early, Denver, the Giants, and the Raiders. Just handle those teams, you have your 8 wins. Yeah. Can you split with Atlanta? Can you steal one other game the rest of your schedule? All of a sudden you have 10 wins. We all know they have a good offensive line. We all know they have good receivers. If the defense can hold up, Bake Show do what he does, back in the playoffs, surprise. Last time we saw Bake Show in the playoffs, he was lighting up Brew's Eagles, keeping them in that supernatural funk. And then at number 1, a Falcons team that it's the rare team that August additions really matter. I was going to have the Bucs win this division, but Judon and Simmons, adding them to buttress that back seven, now you have Jesse Bates might be the best safety in the league outside of Kyle Hamilton. You add Simmons, you got a real pass rush with Judon. I feel like the offense is going to be formidable-ish, and I know you guys don't gamble. There is a bet that if anybody out there would like to make this market, I would appreciate it. The Falcons to win the NFC South, host the Lions in round 1, and get waxed. Like that, I can't. The Falcons winning that division and losing a home playoff game to whoever the best wild card team, I feel like that is a fait accompli, but they win the division.
Carolina Panthers number 4. I hope Bryce can do something. They brought in Deontay Johnson, who I think is really talented. Hopefully he'll help Bryce, but I'm with. They could be the worst team in football.
Again?
So, yes, again. Because I'm
they
right
could.
usually.
Yeah.
So. Number 3, New Orleans. I'm not as down on the Saints. I don't see 5 wins. I still see a pretty good defense. They're generally, even though they're older, they are old, they're always in the top 10 defensively. They're going to be good, or not good, but, I don't see them. I think the top 3 teams in this division battle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
battle.
like they did last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see that again. At number 2, though, I got the Bucs, but no playoffs. Baker played last year, and me and Baker are cool now.
Yeah.
But he played with a chip on his shoulder last year. He had to prove himself again. This year, you got the big contract, $100 million.
It wasn't even
you
that
got
big.
For a guy that was almost done as a starter and had struggled with a few teams, it was big. You got your own team now, and they still have no running game. I know they didn't have a running game last year, and he did well, but I got them having a decent season, but no playoffs. And here we go, Atlanta. You talked about a lot of the additions, but Kirk Cousins, I think, is going to – I think he can unlock Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is only 23 years old. Yeah. Everybody talks about him almost like, he's a bust and he just didn't get it done. He's still got a lot of time to become a good receiver. I think that he helps Kyle Pitts. And obviously Drake London and then Bijan Robinson offensively. So
those are the 7 playoff teams. So what will the conference championship weekend look like? Well, as you can see in the AFC, I'm going with the 7 best quarterbacks in the conference. So for the conference championship weekend, I'm going with the 2 best quarterbacks in each conference. The 2 best quarterbacks in the AFC are Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, and the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFC are Matt Stafford and Caleb Williams. Now, this is a little anticlimactic to a degree because everyone knows I'm picking the Bears. Don't reveal it yet, though. But people don't know who I'm picking in the AFC. They're assuming I'm going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, this is...
But
if you don't, I'm changing my pick.
People will change the channel.
Can I?
There's no.
May I have a moment?
Sure.
I'm a student of history.
Okay.
The league's been playing for almost 80 years. We don't have 3-time Super Bowl champions.
Not one.
Not in a row, 3 in a row.
Not Super Bowls.
Yeah, we have some 3 NFL champions. Also, have you guys heard me say this is the year for the Bengals multiple times?
Sure.
Have you guys heard me say that I'm worried about Mike Browning it after this year? Have you guys, heard me moderately concerned, I suppose, about Hollywood Brown's injury? About maybe a little, it's a lot of Taylor Swift stuff going on. Bengals, laser focus.
Are they?
You're really
laser
right.
Focus.
Didn't we do that yesterday? They're not.
My playoff predictions in the AFC at Arrowhead Stadium. Some people call it Burrowhead Stadium. Chiefs kicked their ass in that whole thing. The Chiefs and Bears, we already know I picked the Bears. And then in the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes, it's the Spider-Man meme, Patrick Mahomes against Patrick Mahomes 2.0, the original wins. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are, of course, champions. So here are, and as an added bonus, because he's due to win it. It's been a full year since he won it. Patrick Mahomes also going to be league MVP.
Ooh.
So there it is. My playoff teams, Super Bowl MVP, write it in stone. America's most accurate sports prognosticator of 2022 will regain the crown for 2024.
Just say 2023. No one's.
I wasn't, though.
You gave it a
Stolen
nice
valor. I'm not going to do that.
You ate for effort.
I'm not going to do that.
All right.
We knew.
Greg, do you have a quick response? Or you just want Brou to go
I
because
just
you've
want
got your
Brou to
whole.
go.
Oh, you want me to go?
Nick act like he
Give me the
wasn't
mic.
gonna pick-
Yeah, you
Give me the
try.
mic?
You try.
We have
you
to.
try.
The mics are actually in our top.
I'm an independent thinker,
Okay.
a nonconformist, a rebel, if you will.
Wow.
All right?
Okay, because Nick yesterday said you had all the same.
No.
As Vegas, you had
Nick is
basically
going with
chalk.
his rules. You gotta have a last to first. You gotta do the. I'm a rebel. I am going with who I think is going to forget the rules.
So just
all right?
the same
Rules
as
are made to be broken. No, it's not the same. The Bengals weren't in the playoffs last year. The Falcons weren't in the playoffs last year. I got some different teams, so those are my. Those are my playoff
The Jets.
teams. The
You got
Jets.
three.
I mean, yeah, my goodness, and I got them winning the division. So those are my playoff picks. But let's get to the real meat of this.
Okay.
The championship
I
round.
don't know what you're doing.
Call it in the AFC the Ravens' revenge.
Ooh.
All right?
What?
I have my purple Jordans. I have my Versace robe. I have my sunglasses, my sandwich, and my soda pop upstairs in my office waiting. I know it's what, 5 months from now.
The old sandwich.
But they are
But
waiting
soda
for
pop will
that
hold.
Monday after the AFC Championship when I can come in here, kick my feet up because Lamar and the Ravens have gone into Arrowhead. It's going to have to be an Arrowhead.
Oh.
They have gone into Arrowhead and gotten their
What about on
revenge.
the other
So
side?
the Ravens will beat the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. Now, I know I think Nick thought I was
I'm
going to go with
shocked.
the Niners. Right. Look, the Niners,
You're a Brock.
they're a
Purdy
good team. I'm a Brock Purdy guy, but I pick with my head, not my heart. I'm a Mahomes guy. I'm the first to ever say it was Jordan Ness to predict this greatness
on
that
Sports
came.
Illustrated,
to
right?
us. Absolutely. Was Grant Cohn write that story?
What?
He might have wrote
I don't know.
that. So in the NFC, you see I got the Packers and the Lions. One of them is going to take out the Niners before this game. And this is a tough one because you know I had the Lions winning the division. All right? But the Packers, when you guys won it, you were a wild card. 10 wins. I got the Packers and Jordan Love beating the Detroit Lions.
Wow.
And Jordan Love will follow in the footsteps of Brock Purdy and Joe Burrow and Russell Wilson and all these quarterbacks who have gotten to the Super Bowl in their second season as a starter. And then they will lose to the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl. Look, Lamar is focused. Lamar is urgent. I see optimism. I don't see, him thinking about last year's loss to the Chiefs. He has done nothing but prove everybody wrong, and I think he's going to finally do it this year in the Super Bowl and get that championship.
So
Excellent.
this is, if I may, Brou. Oh, so who's
Oh,
your
here we
MVP?
go.
Sorry.
Look, I think Patrick's going to have a great year. I love that he said last year wasn't fun. I'm sure it's fun winning Super Bowls, but, the regular season, because he couldn't do all the great things he can do. Xavier Worthy obviously has to stay healthy, but I think he's going to be dangerous. And they got to get Hollywood Brown back. He'll probably be back, week 2, week 3. And then it's going to be a show for Patrick Mahomes.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
A lot of parallel thinking between us.
Uh-oh.
Here's my.
I got to see this.
Well, you know what they call me? The straw that stirs the drink.
They do?
Yeah.
I've never heard that attached to
The Browns?
Oftentimes. Okay, I'll just go from the top. Dolphins.
Wow.
Do I believe in the Dolphins? Yes. Mike McDaniel just got a new deal. We believe in Mike McDaniel. We believe in Tua. Obviously Lamar. Obviously CJ. Obviously Mahomes. Chargers.
That's a good one. You got
I
some gutsy
believe
picks.
in the vibes. I believe in Harbaugh. I believe in the staff. Browns. You might be thinking, Browns? I don't know. What about the quarterback situation? You tell me. Defense wins championships. They've got a good defense, and I literally saw them go to the playoffs with Joe Flacco. If I came on here last year and be like, you know what, I think the Browns are so good, they could get to the playoffs with Joe Flacco, I'd be laughed out onto 54th Street. But I still believe him. Then the Bills. It was tough for me to leave totally out the Bills, but I don't believe in Joe Burrow because Trey Wingo said the vibes are bad, and as you know, king of vibes. On the NFC side, Cowboys in, Lions in, Bake Show, I'm never leaving you. San Francisco in, oh, I can't quit you. I
This
can't
at least
quit you.
is bold. That one.
That's just worst to first.
Well, it's not even worse
to
to
something.
Not worse to first.
Worst to playoffs.
No, they make it. Some team has to be the weird team.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the Patriots. Although the Titans, we started to flirt with
The
the Titans.
Commanders could
within
be.
The Commanders are a #1 pick, and that we've seen be explosive and get to the playoffs before. Yes. Has he had a weapon in his prime? Well, yeah, DeAndre. But now with Marvin, I think Marvin's going to be great. So yes, I'm rolling with the Cardinals. Got to be a crazy one.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Of course.
All right, so first of all, you have 2 new playoff teams.
Yeah.
That's worse than Brew's 3. 2 new playoff teams. The
Okay.
Chargers. Am I missing one? The Chargers and the Cardinals.
Chargers and the
Everyone
Cardinals.
else made the playoffs last year, right?
Well, I put
Okay.
the Browns
You
in.
thought the
But no
Browns-
one's
the
taking the
Browns
Browns.
made the playoffs.
I know, but no one's taking the Browns
Okay.
this year.
All right, but then, and you have a bold one in the Cardinals. But you have the Bengals missing.
I don't believe in
Entirely.
vibes. I do not believe in the vibes.
Okay.
And
You got
I don't believe in injury-prone quarterbacks.
Okay.
If
All
Joe
right.
Burrow lasts a full year, I think Joe Burrow's skating a little bit. All this Lamar criticism, a lot of Josh Allen criticism. Joe Burrow's like, hey, I got a new haircut. Remember when I was in the Super Bowl and lost? Like, yeah, I remember. I don't like bad vibes.
Okay.
In the Super Bowl,
consistent.
this is when it gets a little bit confusing, but bear with me. Because as you know, I treat my takes like a roulette wheel. Yeah, you can put a chip here and put a chip that seems to conflict on the other side. Doesn't matter. I'm going to win one of them probably. Super Bowl. Please reveal. 49ers over the Dolphins. And I know what you're...
The Dolphins.
I believe in Tua, and I believe in Miami, and I believe they can. I know. Don't say it.
That would be
I
the-
think they're going to have home field for the playoffs. I think they're going to have home field for the playoffs. It'll be nice and toasty. And I know what Chiefs
better
Kingdom is
have
saying.
home field.
Didn't we kick this guy out at Chiefs Kingdom, and then we had to bring him back in, and he's going to be out again? Well, look, as everybody knows, I'm a Mahomes guy, and I'm beloved in Kansas City. They call me Kansas City's favorite adopted son.
Yeah.
That's a true story.
Really?
Yeah. Super Bowl MVP.
So we picked regular MVP. You're doing
I'm doing Super Bowl MVP and my regular season
Okay.
MVP. Please reveal. Look. I'm not betting against the guy. Do I believe in the Dolphins? Yes, I do. But let's be honest. I pride myself on
Only you.
transparency for the show. Do I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl? I do.
Wait, what?
Just listen. The show doesn't work if we all pick the Chiefs, okay? Is that what you want to hear? It's a little entertainment, okay? You want to see my FanDuel account? It might not look exactly the same.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.